Chapter 36. How did that reporter know about the osprey? I said. We told no one. We stood in the village hall car park watching the taillights of Karen Burrow's car disappear up the road. Ewan glanced at his dad, then at me. I think it was me, he said. I didn't mean to. I was talking about the fundraising to one of the people who deliver the papers to Dad's shop. I said the Gambian girl had found an osprey, but I never said it was from here. I hardly mentioned it. Well, that woman's going to put it in the papers next week, I said. Hamish stepped between us. She doesn't know where you live, he said. Not yet, I said angrily. I bet we'll soon have people snooping all over the farm. Once Iris comes back, she'll never be safe again. It's only a local rag running the story, said Dad. It's not like it's going to be national news. Well, it only takes one person to steal the eggs, I snapped. Dad opened the car door. Come on, let's go home. It's been a long day. The Chronicle ran the story on Monday. Dad showed me the paper when I got home from school. I was relieved to see it wasn't on the front page. It was a small article near the middle of the paper showing a picture of an osprey and the poster that Rob had made. See, said Dad. Blink and you'd miss it. I suppose you're right, I said. I'm always right, Dad said with a grin. I tapped in Iris's code on the computer. I wanted to tell her it was safe to come back. I wanted her to come back here to the farm. I checked on her every day now. It was as if keeping that connection kept her alive, as if she knew I was there, watching her. She was still in the Gambia, near the coast. The photo showed long, wide, sandy beaches and river deltas with mangrove forests. Her signal had crisscrossed the same river inlet for nearly a week. Hamish said the first week after release was the hardest. It was make or break. But Iris had made it. She was still flying, still hunting. She was still alive. I missed her. I hadn't been to look at the eyrie for ages. I promised myself I would get up early the next day and go and check it for storm damage. It was an excuse to go up there, really. After a week of organising for the fundraising fair, I just wanted some time alone, up on the hills. I put out my fleece jacket and thick socks and set the alarm for 6:30. I woke before the alarm. It was still dark outside and silent. Fern patterns of frost sparkled on the window in the light of a half moon. I got up, dressed in several layers of clothes and went down to the kitchen. It was warm from the heat of the cooking range. I tore off a piece of bread from the loaf Mum had left out, put on my boots and slipped out into the yard. The lights were on in one of the barns. Dad was up already, checking on the sheep. I heard the rustle of straw as Kip came out to greet me. His tail thumped on the wooden sides of the kennel. His breath misted white in the cold air. Come on then, I said. I leaned down to unclip his chain and ruffled my hands through his thick winter coat. He licked my face and barked. I put my hand over his muzzle. Shh, Kip, no noise. And as if he understood, he padded silently ahead of me, out of the yard and up the track leading to the lock. I loved the farm before the dawn. It was a different place. Frost-crusted puddles reflected the moonlight and lit up the path. The outline of hills was soft and dark, like waves on a midnight sea. And the woods were a smudge of blackness so deep it looked impossible to enter. There were no colours, only the deepness of blue. I was out of breath by the time I reached the lock. The moon was a shining white ball in the water. I couldn't make out the eyrie very well. It was almost hidden from the ground. If you didn't know it was there, you'd miss it. I thought of going to the treehouse just to look, but I couldn't do it. Iona and I never did get to sleep the night up there. I sat down on a flat rock, jutting out over the lock, and chewed on the piece of bread from my pocket. A pale light was spreading across the eastern sky, and the night farm was fading. Colours slowly merged into the day, the pale greens of the fields, peaty browns of the loch, and strips of promised sunlight beneath the clouds. Maybe Iona and I would have sat here on this rock and watched the dawn just like this. Maybe. I threw Kip the crust. Come on, I said. I've got school and you've got work to do with Dad today. I jumped down from the rock and whistled to Kip, but he was standing absolutely still, staring into the valley below, his ears pricked. "Come on, Kip," I said. He followed me down the path by the river, but stopped again. A low growl built in his throat and his hackles were raised. Kip saw the man before I did. We hardly ever had walkers and ramblers on our farm, not at this time in the morning anyway. We met on a corner where the bend was steep. Small loose stones skittled under the man's feet. "Hello," he said. He had a posh southern accent. He smiled as if he was expecting to meet me here. "Callum McGregor, is it?" I nodded. He held up his camera. It was one of those big ones with a huge lens. "Do you mind if I take your photo? I'm doing a feature on the osprey you saved." I could feel Kip press against my leg. "I've got to go," I said. "I've lost some sheep." I pushed past him and ran down the track. When I turned around at the bottom of the hill, I could see him coming down the track too. I ran on, as fast as I could, back home. I had to tell Mum and Dad and Hamish. I had to tell them there was someone snooping on the farm. I burst into the yard. Mum was grim-faced by the back door. "Ewan's dad has just been on the phone," she said. "There are TV cameras and journalists swarming all over the village. It's you they want to talk to. We'd better get down there."